Hello and welcome to GeoLearn. This is tutorial 4 of the Surveyor's Judicial Role series, where we want to answer the question, can the surveyor resolve boundary and title disputes? We've talked a lot about different things through the first tutorials on this series. Title insurance, title and survey issues. And let's make some key points. And this slide is titled An Equation for Disaster, because this is such a critical thing and surveyors miss this so frequently. We have to understand, in the owner's mind, this is the property owner who hired a surveyor. They think, number one, that surveyors do not give opinions, they give definitive answers on where property lines are. In fact, they think surveyors tell them what they own. They determine ownership. Interestingly, in parts of the world this is true, but not in the United States. And yet, owners think that's what surveyors do. They think that a point that's set on the ground by the surveyor indicates the extent of their ownership. They also think when they look at that drawing, they look at the survey plat or map, that the line that has been drawn on there represents the extent of their ownership. Now this is such a key point because all surveyors, I believe all surveyors in the United States know these are not true. And yet I ask surveyors every time I go out and speak, and all surveyors believe that in fact, yes, that's what owners believe. So we have this huge disconnect between what we know owners think and what we're actually doing out there. And we've got to recognize and find some way to close that gap to the owner's benefit and to our own benefit from a liability standpoint, but to the owner's benefit so that they're not wasting time and money in litigation that's unnecessary. So what I want to do is go back and let's review what Justice Cooley said. And we looked at some of these in earlier tutorials. But in light of the things we've talked about over the last 3 tutorials, let's look at them in a little bit different light. Again, Justice Cooley, Thomas Cooley, was the Chief Justice of the Michigan Supreme Court in the 1880s. And he was renowned for some of his decisions related to boundaries. In 1881, he gave this presentation, wrote this paper, and presented the paper. And it's called The Judicial Functions of Surveyors, which is a pretty ironic title for a talk from a judge to surveyors. But let's see the things that he said. Among others, this is a great treatise. I believe we will be providing a link to it on the GeoLearn website, so you'll be able to go look at it. But here's what Cooley said, among other things. In any case of disputed lines, unless the parties concerned settle the controversy by agreement, the determination of it is necessarily a judicial act. So again, we have to understand there are only 2 ways that boundary disputes can get resolved. And it is by virtue of the 2 owners, and they can do it by agreement, as I said earlier, the painless, quick, inexpensive way, or they can litigate it. Those are the only 2 ways it's going to happen. Cooley went on and he said, the same authority that makes the surveyor an officer and entrusts him to make surveys also allows parties to settle their own boundary lines. So if there's a boundary dispute, and we said parties can come to agreement, they are allowed to do that. They can do that.